Hey YouTube, in this video we're going to be doing an unboxing and overview of the ASUS ROG Astral GeForce RTX 5090 with the quad fans and factory overclock. So this is probably going to be the highest end 5090 card you can possibly get because of all the extra features that it has. You guys can see the box packaging is quite premium. It is very, very heavy. This is probably the heaviest graphics card. So this is the back of the packaging. It shows it's got that fourth fan for the full flow through. The main thing that we're gonna want to look at for those curious is this 5090. So the ASUS ROG Astral is the only 5090, at least at time of filming, that has extra circuitry to monitor the amount of current that travels through the 6 wires. And if you know anything about the 4090 and now the 5090 with the melting power cable problem, that is definitely a problem to be on the lookout for this graphics card. But thankfully ASUS has added some circuitry to be able to check in their GPU Tweak 3 to see if the wires are unevenly pulling current, which could potentially lead to a meltdown of the plastic housing. So we have a box within a box. It has ROG in foil on this box. So a lot better than the Founders Edition packaging. There's a pull tab and it lifts up, similar to their motherboard boxes. And in here, okay, so a box within a box. It says Republic of Gamers. It's a pull tab on it. And in here, it has, this is a driver CD or something. Okay, so in here, you get a bunch of paper. In search of incredible warranty card, the instructions on how to use the graphics holder that is included in here, and how to properly connect the controversial 12-volt high-power cable. So they do provide the adapter. We'll take a look at that in a second. And then if you're using the power supply's native cable, basically the same sort of connection there on the GPU side. And then a quick start guide and a thank you card from ASUS. So overall, this one seems to include a lot of extra stuff. A lot more than the PNY that we looked at previously. But this one, and the problem with 5090s right now is the price is all over the place. It's, first of all, it's so expensive to begin with. All right, in here, you get the standard 4 8-pin to the 12-volt high-power 16-pin on there. So that one does have the, do they all have the NVIDIA logo on them now? This one has the NVIDIA logo. So we've got that. And then what else is in here? So then we have a ROG anti-sag bracket. So this is basically the same one that we saw on the XFX 9070 XT that we looked at a few months ago. And then, what is this? This is, oh, this is like a, ooh, what's this? You get a miniature, so is this supposed to be like a shift key? This looks like it's for like a Cherry MX keyboard. You can swap out, that's cool. Republic of Gamers. That is actually a cool little thing. So ASUS does have a lot more little goodies or Easter eggs or whatever you want to call it compared to some of these other ones. And then in here, this is really surprising. What is this? There's a ruler. ROG. So that is nice. I did not expect to spend, and then you get like a, little, the last thing in there is a Velcro tie for cable management. So I actually did not expect to see all this stuff. Oh, and there's one more thing in here too. If the camera will focus, for those who dare, is also in there as well. So lots of, there's lots of stuff in here besides the GPU. Then you got this thick foam right here. This is a premium soft touch feel. So very, very premium packaging. And then in here, finally, the GPU itself. Just go ahead and get that out. All right, this is it. This is the Astral. In all its glory, it is full metal. It is incredibly heavy. And it does have the 4th fan up top. Very large card. My biggest criticism of this card is this. It needs a 3rd finger. Now, it's probably fine because they went and did a full reinforced frame here, so realistically, it's not going to be an issue. But they could have included a 3rd finger here for extra ventilation on the back. So that is kind of a letdown. That's probably my biggest negative thing about this card. Otherwise, the build quality overall feels fantastic. The fit and finish. ASUS insists on doing the 16-pin upside down. They put the clip on the top instead of on the bottom. The NVIDIA reference design usually has the sense wires on the top. So when you have the GPU in like this, like with the PNY that we looked at, those 4 sense wires would be up top here and the clip would be on the bottom. So basically, ASUS has flipped it upside down for some reason. I'm not sure. I guess they think that it's going to ensure better contact or something, but it's not really following the standard way. So in here, you can see it has a BIOS switch right there next to those looks like fan control buttons. So very, very large and very heavy card. This is basically a quad slot GPU. You can see 2 plus 2, that would have been a 4 slot in terms of if they put a 4th finger and a 3rd finger on there. On the back, it has triple DisplayPort 2.1 and dual HDMI 2.1. So ASUS has added an additional HDMI port, making this quite a bit more premium in terms of features. One thing I wanted to mention briefly about this card in particular, which I noticed that is different from most 5090s that I've looked at, the Astral, for some reason, if you look right here, it doesn't have the tiny little, I think these are capacitors on the back of the GPU die. ASUS instead opts to use those 4 black ones instead of the same little ones that NVIDIA has on the reference design. So if you guys remember the PNY card that we looked at previously, that one had all of the little capacitors similar to the NVIDIA Founders Edition. So I'm not sure why they've opted to deviate from the spec for some reason. Not only have they turned the connector upside down for the power cable, they're also using like a different design for, or they're using some different components for the back of the die. I don't know if that's going to affect the reliability of the card long term, but that is something that I did want to point out in terms of one of the differences between the Astral and your standard RTX 5090 that you would find from any of the other vendors, including NVIDIA. All right, moment of truth. Power it on. There we go. GeForce RTX. The ASUS Astral. This is the Tech Thursdays computer with the 9950X3D on the X870E MSI Godlike. So we're going to be pairing this up, and I can see the fan is spinning. You guys can see that 4th fan is spinning. There's the post beep. And there we go. If you guys found this video useful, and let me know your thoughts in the comments section below about the ASUS ROG Astral RTX 5090. Once again, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.